we're gonna close out with a funny clip. There is the joke online is that
Variety
Americans
of reasons, but I think another
do not know geography. And I'm inclined to agree. You know, geography, it's hard. It's hard. But when you're in the Imperial Core, like you kind of don't really give a shit about any other about where any other country lies. It's inherently selfish not to give a shit about geography, I would say, but also I understand that like people are not concerned about geography because like this shit does not impact them on their day-to-day lives. However, if you're a public servant, I expect a higher level of intelligence from you. I at least expect you to understand the basic makeup of North America. It's really not that hard. There's only a handful of countries in North America, right? You have Canada, you have the United States, you have Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, Belize, Costa Rica, Panama, the DR, Puerto Rico, Greenland. But if you're an American representative, I would at least get the big three out of the way. Know where Canada is, know where Mexico is. You should be able to name all 50 states if you're a public servant, I think. And you should also know where the two major oceans are. It's not hard. I could probably teach a newborn, maybe not a newborn, I could teach a toddler where the two oceans are. On the East Coast, you have the Atlantic Ocean. On the West Coast, you have the Pacific Ocean. It's that easy. You don't have to worry about the Arctic Ocean. It doesn't impact us. You don't have to worry about the Indian Ocean. That one does not impact us either. I bring all this up because Wyoming State Representative Harriet Hageman has no idea where the fuck anywhere is in the United States. Just before we get into the video, the tweet says she thinks that the city of San Diego borders the Gulf of Mexico. Now, San Diego is on the West Coast. The Gulf of Mexico is on the east coast of Mexico and borders the southeastern United States. Unless there is a San Diego, Louisiana, or a San Diego, Alabama, I don't know how the fuck you could stumble upon this. I think that she may just be this stupid. Because if you're trying to do propaganda, why would you propagandize in quite literally the dumbest way possible? I'm going to play the video because the video does provide necessary context as to what she's talking about.
for a variety of reasons, but I think another reason why we should change this to the Gulf of America versus
Freudian
the
slip.
Gulf of Mexico is for over 40 years, the country of Mexico has been dumping raw sewage into the area near San Diego, California, and the sewage into the area near San Diego, California. And the head of the EPA, Lee Zeldin, was just there approximately 2 weeks ago. I was just in San Diego meeting with some folks down there, and they described the situation. It's absolutely a horrific situation. It is an environmental catastrophe and disaster created, and the country of Mexico absolutely refuses to address it and fix it, and has been fouling our waters for decades upon decades. It needs to be resolved. But that is another reason why we need to retake and claim ownership of this area and make sure people do know that it is the Gulf of America. We should not be rewarding Mexico for their bad acts, and that's just one example.
That sounds like a
For a variety.
Now, this is actually really funny, not just from the geographical perspective, but also from like the policy perspective. We'll start with because policy is fucking boring, and I'm not gonna bore you guys with it. Although, yeah, I am gonna bore you, but I'll bore you later. We'll have some fun first. I think we deserve it. How, if San Diego is here, how does the Gulf of Mexico border San Diego? I already asked this. Like, this is staggering. This is staggering levels of incompetence. I don't have any other way to describe it. Like, this is a stupid fucking thing to say. This just like I'm struggling to like commentate on this, because there are just some things that leave me speechless. And most of the time, it is not dumb shit like this. It's like fascism, right? It's ICE kidnapping a newborn baby and detaining them. Like, that kind of stuff also leaves me speechless. But every so often, I'll encounter someone who has like 1% of their brain working, and there's just nothing you can say to this. Because this person, if they're not, dumb, they're being ignorant. And why are you going to be ignorant about the Gulf of Mexico? Right? Like, if this is a major issue for you, why don't you just say, like, make up a lie that there's a more coastline of the United States that borders the Gulf of Mexico than coastline on Mexico that borders the Gulf of Mexico, which I also believe I don't believe that to be true. But, like, you could at least manage to convince somebody that way. Like, that's, people hear that and they're like, that makes sense. Like, this is our natural water, even though Mexico has existed for longer than the United States of America has, with Spanish colonialism and everything. But also from the policy perspective, this is ultra funny because Lee Zeldin and the EPA and the Trump administration do not give a shit about sewage in the water. Dude, we literally talked about a story months ago about the Supreme Court making a ruling that companies can discharge shit water into lakes and rivers behind people's homes. We covered a story like last week about this county in Alabama where the water infrastructure is so bad that sewage from the cesspools and from the water infrastructure not only comes up like through the ground, but will come up into people's homes. Donald Trump took away a $27 million grant to fix that. They do not give a shit about climate protectionism, about anything related to that. And like, you're like, it's just, it's the absolutely most silly way to discuss this. The gentleman who posted this video said, I have often said members of Congress should have to pass a basic civics test. Should they also need to pass an American geography test? I'm trying to think of, like, what would that encompass? What would be like the most moderate amount of geography questions that an American representative would be able to answer? Like, would we talk about the Rocky Mountains? Like, I think if asked what mountain range extends throughout the western United States up through Canada, I think most people would be able to say the Rockies. I think most people would be able to guess the 5 Great Lakes with appropriate studying. You know, I wonder, like, would we also talk about the specific geographic features of each region, like the Great Plains? Why are they called the Great Plains? Oh, it's because they're fucking flat. And listen, I've been to Oklahoma. It is flat as fuck out there. They earned that nickname. If you have any questions to put on one of these exams, please drop it in the comments below.